Hey, so can you guys all hear us on the broadcast? This is me, Jessica, and Sean here. Everything working for you guys?
0 viewers.
Or maybe we just have 0 viewers, and that's the issue. Chris, can you? Oh, you know what? I'm not doing it on Teamspeak. That's the Hey, you guys. So we also have the broadcast going. Does all this work for you? Can you guys see us / hear us? Is it making sense?
Seven viewers.
You see, we have a whopping total of 7 viewers, so I'm very excited about that.
Welcome, everyone.
Welcome, and yeah, please feel free to just talk and TeamSpeak. You can totally talk over me, even if that light is flashing, and I'd be super happy about that. I shared an agenda in the TeamSpeak box, but let me go ahead and share that agenda on just normal Maker Chat and in some other convenient places too, so you guys can all see what's happening. All right, and there is the agenda there. 1 second, I'm gonna figure out how to just screen share this for all of you guys, and we'll be solid. And I very much apologize, but the meta sounds within TeamSpeak have been somewhat uncooperative with me and refuse to quiet down, but I'll figure it out soon enough. Oh, okay. So let's just screen share your entire screen. Right, so I have screen shared my entire screen for you all. So let's go ahead and just start going through these updates. So this is the Maker Community Call of May 8th. I have an update from design. Henry, who is our head of design, he's let us know that he's onboarded a new product designer. He's continuing to prototype and explore UX solutions around the community forum, wallets, integrations, and government. And currently in development, we have a new DAI dashboard and a new marketing site. We have an update from product, Soren, who's been meeting with potential partners and stakeholders. He's initiated a search for a head of QA to be based in Copenhagen, where we also are looking for a couple of developers initially for developing scenario tests. So maybe you guys are one of the developers that Soren happens to be looking for. In addition, Soren and his team is looking for developers in Europe to work on our user-facing solutions, so dashboards. Stephen, our head of risk, has an update. An outline of the risk framework will be out by the end of May. The outline will cover what the MKR token holder needs to consider in evaluating risk parameters for collateral and the system as a whole. We have quantitatively assessed a large number of tokens to use as collateral and have been approached by a dozen organizations from whom we have started the onboarding process. Some of the organizations that approached us include Digix and Hello Gold, which we are delighted to start partnering with. So please keep an eye on this community channel. So this community channel being basically the community meetings, as well as just, of course, what's going on over in Maker Chat and Reddit. as the updates are probably going to be given in those places first. And in terms of announcements, so we had a super successful experience at EdCon, and we're looking forward to delivering on all those incredible connections and ideas. We have some other announcements as well. If you follow our Twitter or Reddit or just the general chat, you've probably seen me go ahead and post a number of these blogs detailing some of the cool partnerships that have been happening lately. We've integrated with Request Token. We've partnered with Switch Chain. I'm Token feels that we've in fact made history with them. We've posted a blog explaining how DAI addresses centralization and counterparty risk, which you can go ahead and check out. Gitcoin, the consensus project that we're super excited about, has introduced DAI as a bounty reward. And another consensus project we're really excited about, Cowrie, has demoed Maker as one of the first platforms in this cool growing set of developer tools. So they actually did their demo at EdCon. It'll be exciting for you guys to check that out and start learning from each other. But that is the total of the agenda for now.
User entered your channel.
I'd love to welcome some questions about that.
User entered your channel. User disconnected from your channel.
Okay, cool. I see some awesome comments from D. Utro. Thank you. This is really good feedback, and I would mute the application through the OS. The only issue is then I have, well, actually, that's not necessarily an issue. We'll figure out how to do that.
Might work.
Okay, I think it's going to work now. All right, so we've stopped screen sharing, if that's okay with you all. Yeah, in terms of the agenda, or even Chris, is there anything exciting that you'd like to comment about EdCon or a fulfilling experience you had there?
Yeah, so Maker is one of the founding members of the Ethereum Community Fund, which is kind of a nonprofit organization dedicated to making grants into projects that either don't have a discernible business model or just kind of are like core infrastructure to Ethereum tech. Researchers, any ideas or any folks who you might have in mind that are worthy of kind of a $50,000 to $100,000 grant to work on their interesting project. Put it in the chat somewhere. DM me. I'm Chris.Padavano on MakerChat. EdCon is an interesting conference. A lot of very smart people. It's one of the few times in my life, not few times in my life, that's not what I mean. I have the great pleasure of usually being the dumbest guy in the room at conferences like EdCon, conferences like DevCon. Would recommend any of you who are interested in the comings and goings of the Ethereum space to get involved or go to those conferences as they come up. Just learned a lot. Some really great speakers, some great research going on, some tough problems left to solve. But I think we're moving along. Sean and Jess were both there too, so I'm sure they have similar thoughts or maybe different thoughts.
No, I have the exact same thoughts. Like Chris said, a lot of really cool, interesting, insightful people there, and it was just awesome to be in that presence.
But if you guys have any questions at all, we kind of look at this time as like office hours. So we encourage you guys to participate if you want.
Yeah, definitely. Chris, our attorney, is a super, super smart guy. So there was a time to ask some questions and receive insightful answers. It's certainly now. But as Sean also pointed out, it would be cool to check out the Cowrie site if you want and create a request for a helpful article in terms of Maker. So D. Utro has chatted in a question. Chris, what are the Maker team comms with the regulator government side of things? Chris, would you like to go ahead and venture a response? And do you foresee any legal issues with the Maker system?
So MakerDAO is a global operation, right? We are looking at regulatory frameworks in Europe, in the United States, in Japan. And I think actually Japan is probably one of the most interesting places right now in terms of the regulation of cryptocurrency. So you guys may remember a little Magic the Gathering card exchange called Malgox that blew up so spectacularly in 2014, like the winter, early spring of 2014. And it was domiciled in Japan. And they had a deal, the JFSA, which is the Japanese equivalent to the American SEC, had to deal with this very large embarrassment of this unregulated exchange operating in Japan. And in Q2, Q3 of last year, the JFSA started implementing a licensing regime for cryptocurrency in a way that is much different than how Japan regulates what it would be known as like money transmission or money services businesses here in the United States. There's a specific licensing regime for Japanese cryptocurrency exchanges, and this was going along really well until there was a coin check hack. Where the exchange, which had received a provisional license, did something wrong, just didn't have the right security in place, and I think $500 million or $400 million worth of meme, which is I think like a stellar shitcoin, was stolen from users' accounts, and this precipitated the JFSA to have a very serious and kind of chilling response on all of these exchanges. But there's still a lot of very interesting things that are happening in Japan. And I'd like to just give you a little example to just kind of show, or really like in my mind, why I think Japan is much further ahead than really any other jurisdiction in the entire world. So there's an exchange called Coin. It's Q-U-I-O-N-E. They're a licensed cryptocurrency exchange. And they are also an exchange that's done a $100 million ICO in Q4 or Q3. I don't know. I can't remember what their token does, but I I'd encourage you all to just kind of like think for a moment, what would happen to the likes of Coinbase or Circle or Gemini if they went out and they did, $100 million right? There's a lot of scary things. There's a lot of uncertainty. You have a lot of soothsayers reading the tea leaves right now, saying like, oh, what's the SEC? What's the CFTC? What are they all going to say, right? And there's a lot of ambiguity, and I don't think anyone really knows what kind of like the next steps on the legal front will actually look like here in the United States. I mean, we can imagine like worst cases, we can imagine like best cases, but obviously, the truth will be somewhere in between, and being able to kind of, distinguish between, what is good, what a good regulatory regime looks like and a bad regulatory regime looks like. I would just encourage regulators globally to start looking at Japan, the second largest economy in Asia, and their approach to, cryptocurrency regulation. It's a very long-winded kind of pontification on the fast-moving space of the legal and regulatory world of cryptocurrency, and obviously MakerDAO is trying to find a home within this broader global regulatory environment.
Thank you so much for Chris. So, that was a really elegant and beautiful sort of monologue there.
Yeah, I mean that's that's what we're here for, right? Like no, but serious, like in all seriousness though, like yeah, it's just no one really has the right answers, right? I think if anyone is saying that they have the right answers, they're probably either talking about the worst case or the best case. No one really knows, right? You have ideas, and you can start kind of positioning yourself to kind of like deal with the worst case. Presently, I think we're doing a lot in a lot of different places that will just make our DAO, very sustainable in the long term.
Definitely. I actually have a couple more specific questions from D. Utro for you, Chris. One of those questions is, do we mainly rely on the community of regulators that attend conferences like EdCon?
So I'm not going to go into legal strategy and like how we operate. MakerDAO uses several globally recognized law firms to help us kind of navigate this uncertain world of regulation around cryptocurrency. But yeah, I'm not gonna go into like specifics, right? We talk like generally, where I think the baseball is going, and like I was saying earlier, I think it's really exciting to see Japan kind of implement thoughtful regulation around cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I think that's totally agreeable. One more question from D. Utro, Chris. Okay, that's reassuring. Didn't know you guys use several legal teams for consultation. Sorry, that was not a question. Thanks. But thank you so much, Chris. Yeah, that was fantastic.
Also, if you have any technical questions for Sean, he's the guy to ask. Like if you guys have any questions about how Maker works, or if you have any like open questions, like there are no stupid questions, right? Basically took me about a year to really fully appreciate the breadth of Maker. So, if you guys have any technical questions, now is a really good time to ask.
Diutra, we're working on a audit for the YouTube recordings. Can you guys, I don't know, can you hear me right now?
So the people on Teamspeak specifically wouldn't be able to, but if they were on YouTube, then they totally can.
Okay. Future's asking about the easy CDP site. We're not officially endorsing it yet because we're looking to do an audit for they do wrap the CDPs in their own smart contract in order to interact with it. So we're working on an audit, and you should look for that probably in a short time frame. And I saw Chris, you also asked about that. They're not an official partner. We do support what they're doing, but we haven't audited them yet. James, how does Maker view DAI and lost accounts? Can you clarify what you mean by that? Gary, you asked, when we expand to multi-collateral DAI, where will the coins be sold during liquidation of CDPs across all exchanges or just in Oasis? So it sounds like, just to clarify there, the DAI is still going to be created through the same format, through the DAI dashboard or sites like EasyCDP that are built on top of our smart contracts. If you mean the coins that are sold off in case of a liquidation, during liquidation of CDPs, those are also sold through the smart contracts, and that'll be more of a auction style system. So look for a tutorial on how to get involved in the auctions in the next, when we release that. It won't be as simple as just being the first person to buy the liquidated tokens.
Yeah, awesome.
User
And
disconnected from your
I
channel.
see a couple other questions here too that our fabulous developer Nick has been answering in the YouTube chat. So Avid Watcher has asked, can you confirm the governance fee rate, please? And if it is going to increase in the future, thanks. Not sure. I can give it super. Yeah.
No. So for the governance fee, that is a risk parameter of the system, which means it can increase if that is what if that is the optimal, viewed as optimal for that time period. It could increase, and the current governance fee is 0.5%. And so it's likely that it'll stay low for new collateral types in order to get some initial collateral into the system. But something a bit higher is likely for more mature collateral types.
And David, I see you asked, is that going to be included in the risk framework as to suggestions of voting on parameters? I believe that should be the case, yes. And just to reiterate for the recording, Nick's response to James Spleen's question as to how does Maker view DAI and lost account. DAI and lost accounts will just continue to accrue debt on the CDP due to fees until one day it falls below the collateralization threshold and then gets liquidated. James Spleen says, thank you, that was exactly what I wanted to know. A Yeye has asked, is there any plan to create a sort of summary white paper for people to easily understand how the system and incentivizations work? So yeah, there are a few explain like 5 articles out there explaining how it works, but I suppose there's always room for more, especially as the workings get slightly more expansive and more complex. So expect more of those posts to come our way. And thank you, David, for the comment as to the straightforwardness of the current white paper.
User disconnected from your channel.
I see another question from Gary. When we expand to multi-collateral DAI, where will the coins be sold during liquidation of CDPs across all exchanges or just in Oasis or in some mix? So I imagine the plan will, of course, be across a number of exchanges as those other exchanges then choose to integrate new coins, what have you, as well as an Oasis. So I'd expect a bit of a mixture.
Wait, do you mean like what happens to the collateral when it's it falls below the liquidation ratio?
Right. I sort of answered this earlier when I said that during the liquidation of CDPs in the multi-collateral system, it's going to be an auction-based system. So the coins will still be sold through the smart contracts, but it won't be as straightforward. So look for a tutorial on how to get involved. You'd probably have to do that through some sort of automated bot, like a keeper. But we'll give a tutorial on how to get involved once that is released. It will be sold through the smart contracts, and I don't think the coins will be sold straight. Whatever coins you find in exchange will be sold by someone getting them through the smart contracts during a liquidation.
Yeah, I think it's a really important point to just kind of like underscore again, is that when these auctions take place, it's just an autonomous smart contract that any user or keeper that has access to the internet and the Ethereum blockchain can just scope in and see, and then just bid on that collateral. It's not like it's going to happen. And to Sean's point, I'm sure that there will be exchanges that are interested in, like standing up a UI in front of these auction contracts so that, their users can kind of like have this added benefit of bidding on potentially cheap collateral. But I think that folks who are really serious about, running keepers, have probably like an automated framework in place today with just single collateral DAI. And, I'm sure that there's going to be opportunities for, even like a retail trader like myself, it's not technical at all, to be able to kind of like just see an underwater CDP and bid on it. But I would imagine that, as we scale, that this function becomes more and more professionalized by market makers and arbitrars and just market professionals.
Definitely. Thanks so much for that background, Chris. Just one more question that I think I may have skipped over. I see that another Chris Tarpley asked on an update of the hardware wallet support and what's planned for Oasis Direct. So yeah, that's planned to be released at the end of May, hardware wallet support in terms of Ledger and Trezor. That would then go ahead on the Oasis front.
And that's awesome, by the way. Which is great. To be able to kind of manage CDP from Ledger, it's just awesome. Really awesome stuff. Even though, I mean, like, also too, I like just take some time to point out how cool Oasis Direct is, how nice it is, like how seamless everything is with interacting with Oasis Direct, and just really happy with all of the everything that's under the hood at MakerDAO. Like, I think like you guys, like the engineers, Sean included, just really do an excellent job across like all aspects of like the product lifecycle and the different products that come out, which is really nice. Guys, I'm gushing right now. I don't know what to do. Like, it's just so excited, really excited.
Definitely. Well, I'll thank you for the compliments towards the engineers on their behalf. And another question from AA: is a CDP put up for auction as soon as it hits the 150%? So it's a little bit less expedient than that. I believe we actually need to see a byte triggered by another user, which may or may not happen immediately when a CDP hits 150%. Sean, would you like to weigh in on that? Or
yeah, so 150% is the liquidation ratio. That's a risk parameter that can be changed depending on the collateral type. But yeah, it should be bitten is the term for it. It'll be liquidated or put up for auction right when it crosses that threshold. Or it should be, because it's a sort of a decentralized way of triggering it, but it should be triggered right when it crosses that threshold.
Right. Yeah, so James, this is an awesome question. Does Maker plan to put together any sort of alert system for CDP owners with low collateral? We certainly do. I'm sorry that there's not a refined alert system out there already. But yeah, eventually you'll get a text message or an email or so alerting you to add more collateral, or maybe close your CDP, whatever works best for you. I see a question as to how the TrueBits audit is going. I think we're over half of the way there, but I can't give tons of insight into that.
Yeah, audits are basically done when they're done. It's hard to, can't really comment on the process of an ongoing audit.
And Avid Watcher has asked if there's any new information on the roadmap estimated for the release of a multi-collateral CDPs of TGX and OMG. So I suppose that there's not necessarily a formal roadmap that has been released at this time detailing how it is that we're venturing our way to the multi-collateral CDPs, but we'll continue to host these sort of more forward-facing updates as we go along, and feel free to check in when you do in fact want more information. Oh, and I see something from SB, who is informed James Blaine that there's actually a site called CoinWink. Oh, that Sean, that you can use right now for alerts. And David asks if we are still on track for end of June / mid-August. We certainly are, David.
Yeah, should be sometime in that large time frame. Summer.
But yeah, things are definitely going well, so we're all very excited.
I think this is worth screen sharing maybe.
Cool. Also, I was thinking about maybe sending you guys some information as to the cowrie features. Let's see if I could screen share this with you, because it'd be awesome if you started participating in this. I think it would be really helpful and mutually beneficial. So 1 second. So this is Cowrie here. It's a decentralized technical knowledge base for the Ethereum ecosystem. Super cool team and super cool project. And they're in fact incorporating Maker, which we're excited about. That is one of the projects. Sean, what would you say on here?
If you click on topics, or you actually need to access Cowrie.
Yeah.
Click on access Cowrie. If you have MetaMask running, cool. So it's a bunch of different projects that they initially launched with. A lot of the major projects in the space. See MakerDAO here has 3 articles. Review all of them. There's a FAQ on interest, on liquidation, and how just DAI works. There's obviously a lot more to talk about around Maker. So if you see something that you would want to have a topic about, if you scroll up, Jessica, there's the top here, a create request button or write article button. If you feel knowledgeable about a specific topic, you can actually write an article, and we'll announce something later, but basically we can put a bounty out for a certain article. And so this is on the Rinkeby testnet, but once it gets converted to, there's actually an alert here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is on Rinkeby, but this is basically a way to be rewarded for knowledgeable content around any around any project. So which we think is really cool. For example, someone was asking around about the hardware wallets integration. That would be a very good topic for something like this. And yeah, invite everyone to check it out. We're really excited to be on this, and we think it'll help everyone out.
Yeah, so please take a look. Yeah, and David, we're excited about what's happening with Gitcoin too. I'm also super impressed with those bounty projects. So it's awesome that DAI is a part of that too. We have a question from Michael S. Maloney saying that in some old videos I've seen it was said that DAI's value was linked to the IMF special drawing, right? The current information says it's stable to the USD. Is there a difference? So yeah, there is a difference. Or different currencies, the SDR and the USD. Originally, though, you're correct in I think Arun's initial thoughts. He was planning to stabilize DAI towards the SDR, but after a large amount of research, we decided that the better use case at this time would be stabilizing it towards USD. Of course, there's room for DAI to be stabilized towards a variety of currencies, maybe one day the euro, one day the yen, the SDR. The possibilities are endless there. There's actually a number of sort of Reddit threads that go through and detail that. And if you want, Michael S. Maloney, I can send you some of those Reddit threads, and you can take a read to see what our Lord and Savior Arun has to say about all that, because it's quite interesting and quite a lot of opportunity around there. And David Utro has asked, how is formal verification research going? Is there anyone that can speak to that?
I can attempt an answer.
Mm-hmm.
So formal verification, neither Chris nor myself nor Jessica work on that side of things, but that's a lot of the dApp Hub team, which works with Maker. I'm really interested in learning more about it. I think actually we'll be meeting a lot of Maker people at the end of this month. And yeah, probably maybe asking in chat or the subreddit will get you a better answer.
Actually, I have some insight into this. So I do know that that a lot of the researchers at DevHub are currently working through a way to formally prove all the multi-collateral DAI smart contracts. This is still a work in progress, and that's why we expect to launch MakerDAO sometime this summer. But yeah, this research is ongoing, and it's pretty exciting.
All right, yeah, that all sounds good to me. Thank you so much for that commentary, Chris, in all ways. Is there anything else anyone wants to shout out? And by the way, the purpose of sort of using the Teamspeak in conjunction with this Google Hangouts, it's all sort of experimentation, but was so if we wanted multiple voices to be heard, they could be. So if ever you feel like doing that, go for it. And thank you, Ian. So it looks like we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Please feel free to just reach out, express any grievances you have about this format, what you'd rather see me try, and we can totally do that. But you guys are all wonderful. And thanks a ton again to our amazing attorney, Chris. Thanks. And Sean.